affliction, yeah. I can't breathe, I need to get some air, but it's a toxic addiction. You're a guilty affliction, yeah. You can't breathe and you just need some air, yeah. Give me all of your lies, 'cause you're my demon in disguise. I learned to love the cage you keep me in, where the walls keep closing in, and I don't wanna die, but your poison feels so right. Why do I want you when you're bad for me? My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe. My perfect storm, my beautiful catastrophe.
Nothing out there could ever stop me from chasing after the way you love me, keeping me up 2 cups of coffee. Baby, you make me feel so lovely. I keep on running, no, I should've wanted I keep on falling right into your thought, I can't get you off my mind. So sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Oh, what a rush each time you catch me chasing after the way you love me. Color my life up like confetti. Baby, you make me feel so lovely. I keep on running, no, I should've wanted I keep on falling right into your thought, I can't get you off my mind. So sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Nothing out there could ever stop me from chasing after the way you love me, keeping me up 2 cups of coffee. Baby, you make me feel so lovely. So sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy. Sweet, yeah, I need it from you. Got my hands all on you, sweet. Everything I want is sugar like yes, please. Love is like candy.
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back, just wait and you'll see. Please excuse me, your honor, but you can't hold me no longer. Can't you feel the vibrations? I broke out and left traces. Go ahead, try catch me if you can, man. You'll be looking all night, I'm just saying, man. New York, London to Japan. I'ma show the whole world who I am. Boom, boom. Major look, huh? Yeah, this one is for the books. All these chances I took still, I move straight on these rooks now. Hold me up or hold me down, have my back or hold my crown. Either you with me or not, but you better give all you got, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back, just wait and you'll see.
Friday. How are you, Friday? I swear, every time I push that button, it's like, oh, we're just going to delay a little bit longer before we actually, like, go to the other scene. I don't know what it is with this program. What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's Friday. Bit of a delay there. Sorry about that. I believe my postal delivery person, my postman delivery person seems to have, they had tripped on the porch. I think they just, like, bonked their foot and kind of, whoa, and freaked out my dog. So we had to go get the dog to be quiet. Well, one of the dogs. One of the two dogs was going crazy. I'll let you guess which one it is. You'll have to let me know what you think. But it is a lovely Friday out here after a blustery, stormy, crazy Thursday. I don't know what that was all about. Kept trying to get stuff done outside, and it would be like, oh, hey, check me out. This weather's totally normal. Don't worry. Everything's totally fine around here. And then all of a sudden, it would be like 40-mile-an-hour winds and insane rain. It was just a weird one. And it is almost June. And one of the places I really, really enjoy going hiking, it's literally called Paradise. So how appropriate is that? But if you look up Mount Rainier, Paradise, you'll see what I'm talking about. It was snowing up there today, and it's like it's almost June, guys. So who knows what's going on with this wackadoodle weather that's happening around here. It's snowing up in the mountains. Which some people would say, hey, that's totally normal because it's mountains. But I'd be like, also, hey, man, it's almost June. There's critters up there. They're going to be needing some chill out on the snow factor, you know what I mean, here for just a little bit. So, but we'll see what happens if we get some crazy normal weather here, which they say it's supposed to be like 80 degrees on Sunday. So who knows? Today it's like, yesterday it was cold and ish. I mean, it wasn't cold, but raining, cold, whatever. And then by Sunday it's supposed to be 80 and sunny. So who knows? And I had to sneeze there because it is dusty in my house. As you guys know, the remodeling continues. The remodeling has continued, but I'm glad to say that some progress was made again this week. We got the stove is installed. We actually have a stove now, although we don't have a hood. That just arrived the other day, and we're gonna have to be putting the hood vent in soon. But I am almost of the inclination to wait until we do the tile backsplash, which we're waiting for the flooring to do the tile backsplash. So once the flooring gets here, then we'll get going on the tile backsplash action and whatnot. But you know how it is. So, but things are coming along with that. It's still dusty in our house, though. Let's see. Let's say give a big shout out to everybody in the chat because the list is not that long today. It must be Friday. People are out there just partying instead of hanging out on the internet. Zip Gun, Am Cluescent, Pipex, Frank Dominguez, Wesley's Fish Club, Steve Bearteach, DeFreeze Aquariums. What's up, guy? Big D Smoke. It's Nature Man, Alyssa Bentley. Man. I literally was reading in the chat how Alyssa said she was trying to say Glass City Fish Witch over and over as I was getting ready to say it, and I totally screwed it up. But Glass City Fish Witch, what's up? Joshua Stover. I don't think I've ever seen Joshua Stover in the chat. Rocky's Rocky. Joel G. Moira Hare. I think that's everybody. I think that's everybody from the chat today. So, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks for chatting along with us today. First question I had today was... What was the first question I had today? It was, is it Friday or is it Monday? Because I tell you, my days are starting to run into themselves even more than previously. I know that 2020 was like one long, crazy, long day. And the days were all running together and everything was a blur, but 2021 is turning into a wild blur of being busy and having a million things going on, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I can't say it's the worst thing that's ever happened. But, you know, there's a reality that says that it has been extremely busy. And everything's, like I said, everything's just starting to blur together all weirdly. But we'll see what happens. As time goes on, maybe I'll get some days that just seem normal. I know that later today, I don't think it's going to happen, but later today we were supposed to go look at some used trucks and see if we find one that we like. But I doubt that's going to happen at this point because I'm going to have to pick up my daughter from daycare very, very soon relative to the day. Let's see. It's Nature Man says, I'm not doing anything crazy. Oh, what's going on? You only live once, about to do something crazy to me, and you only die once too. That's true. That's true. Facts. Those are facts. Yeah, try not to do things like too crazy, like YOLO. Try not to YOLO too hard out there, guys. From somebody that can speak from experience, try not to YOLO too hard, you know? Wear your harness and all that safety gear. Just do that stuff. It's just important. Connor A. Max says, COVID feels like Groundhog's Day. Yeah, turns out pandemics feel like Groundhog's Day, like legit. You just feel like you're in the very famous Groundhog's Day featuring Bill Murray, one of my favorite famous people of all time. Just one of my favorite people of all, famous people of all time, favorite comedian, just guy, famous guy. Like, I love Bill Murray. If you don't love Bill Murray, get out of here. I don't have time for that. We don't have time for people that don't like Bill Murray, you know? I mean, even the RZA and the Jizza love Bill Murray. You know what I'm talking about? Like, everybody loves Bill Murray. Wu-Tang Clan loves Bill Murray, okay? If you meet the criteria that, like, dudes from oh, wait, no, that's not. What's that beach community in California? Beach community in California of the rich. The hell? What is that called? I was going to say Newport Beach. That's not right. Malibu? Yeah, I think it's Malibu. 27. Oh, let's look this up. 27 richest neighborhoods. Oh, Beverly Hills, Palos Verdes. Yeah. Yeah, I've been down there. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, Cameo Shores. That's what it is. Cameo Shores. Newport Beach. Oh my God, that's what it was. I was legit going with Newport Beach, but then I thought, like, wait a minute, Newport Beach might not be where all those weird people I ran into in California that were legitimately like the most ridiculous people I've ever met in my life, like the weird rich people that, I mean, not to sugarcoat it, but they're like the whitest white people you've ever met. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, questionably so. I met a bunch of fools down there, and they liked Bill Murray. So I feel like if you could bridge the gap between the Wu-Tang Clan and Newport Beach, I feel like you're doing a good thing. It's Nature Man says Richard Pryor is better. Man, that's a really hard debate because they're different generations. You know what I mean? Like, generationally speaking. Because, like, when, let's see, Bill Murray born. When was he born? Because he is getting up there. He's definitely getting up there. Because, let's see, he started in 1973, right? Yeah, so he started in 73. He was born in 1950. Or when was Richard Pryor born? Oh, that's weird. He was born in 1940. So, I mean, it's like, it's definitely a different generation, I think. 10 years apart. So he'd be like 80. Yeah, he'd be 80 right now. I think there's a big difference between people that are 70 and 80. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would have to consider and think about that one for a little while, about like whether or not, one is better or not. I mean, like, I'm a huge fan of Richard Pryor, but I'm also a huge fan of Bill Murray. And I don't know, they're like so vastly different. Were they in anything together? Richard Pryor. Were Richard Pryor and Bill Murray in anything together? Weird. I don't see anything with them like having been together. Because if they were in something together, I think you could make like a real comparison. I don't see them like having been in anything together. I'll look it up, though. I'll consider it. Anyhow, today's topic on the show, the live stream here today, is not Minecraft. It's not Richard Pryor. It's not whether Friday or Saturday is legit. But what I wanted to talk about today was why you should keep guppies. Now, this is kind of a loose conversation. This is something I've just been thinking about for a while. I've not written an outline or anything like that, so bear with me if I get rambly and weird. But I want to expunge, is that right? I want to convey a message of, if you've never kept guppies, if you've never kept live bearers of the guppy varietal, how I could encourage you to make the step from that. Because one thing I've noticed as far as the west coast of the United States, let's say the west half of the United States, most people start out with mollies and platies for some reason, and I don't 100% know why that is. And it might be different on the East Coast, it might be different in some other countries, but what I see at the fish stores is mollies and platies galore as air quote starter fish, right? Now, I fully think that a better choice is sort of your standard guppy. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about endlers or anything like super crazy. I'm talking about some super cheapo. If you bought 20 for $10 guppies, you know what I'm saying? Most people would call them like feeder guppies or something like that. That those would legitimately be the most rewarding fish for anybody starting out, anybody that's in the intermediate level, and anyone that's in the expert level. Now, the reason for that is, number one, general ease of care. If you have soft water like me, harden the water up a little bit, feed them well, give them some decent light, preferably a planted aquarium, and you will end up with happy little fish that will breed more of those little fish, and you will find yourself in a situation where you're just with an overall general feeling of happiness about the hobby and just where you're at. I think personally, if there was one tank that I could have, and most people would think I would have an aquascaped shrimp tank, which I think if there was one tank, one singular tank that I could keep, if there was just like, hey, you can only have a 20-gallon tank, that's it, you're not allowed to have any more, I would legit go with guppies. Now, reason for that, you can start up cool little breeding projects where you could get specific traits to come out from guppies because they breed so prolifically, so quickly that you could be, breeding them more specifically. You could keep them, you can keep them alive with realistically not a whole lot of work. I mean, you're realistically doing a little bit of water change, a little bit of cleaning here and there, and feeding them, and you're pretty good to go. Like I said, you do have to harden up your water a little bit. You don't want to have that 100% soft water like I do here. If you have soft water, generally speaking, 503 is asking, how do I harden up my water? I'll show you right here. I'll get a link for you. This is going to be fairly easy. What the hell? Oh, that's right. I was looking up one of the funniest things in American vernacular, and it's called a snatch block. If you guys don't know what a snatch block is, oh, hold on. I have to give you guys the sorry, I have to give you guys the speech here before I click a link into the chat. Hey, the Federal Trade Commission requires me as a internet influencer that I might influence your purchasing decision. That if I post a link, I have to tell you that, like, if you buy stuff, if you go through this link to Amazon and then you go buy stuff, I'll generally make a little bit of a commission off of it, okay? So that's what happens. The computers do it all, and that's just how it is. But I will also add that when you guys click on other stuff, like a pop-up ad, the same thing happens. You get a little bit stored, what's called a cookie, and it references whoever sent you over to whatever website to buy whatever. So be aware of whatever you're clicking on. So there's a disclaimer and a disclaimer. A dual disclaimer there. Boom, we're done. Bob's your uncle. Let's get back to talking about the snatch block, which is the funniest thing. One of the funniest things that's literally in the vernacular. It's literally a snatch block. That's what it's supposed to be called. It sounds like a move that some of you out there in the club tonight might have to might have to do. You know what I'm saying? Some of you youth out there that may or may not be out partying and whatnot and doing that kind of stuff. It might be something you need to pull off. You might need to pull off. I'm an idiot. Sorry. But I digress. Let's move on. Where's my list? I have a list in here that has the products that I use. Where did it go? Well, let's look it up here. Where? Okay, let's go over here to this thing because it just gave me like the weirdest. It just gave me like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. So what is going on with my Amazon right now? It's literally like trying to sell me, what is this? A case? I don't want a case for a musical equipment. I don't want that. Okay. So what I use to supplement my water is, let's find it. Nature's Ocean. Number one. It's the number 1. Where's the... Okay, we don't want sand. We want this one. There it is. One of them was like $50. We want the one that's $16. And it's like 1-day delivery. Here we go. I don't want to give you guys no $50 goofy link for some aragonite. You know what I'm talking about. Where'd my chat go? Oh my God, I lost my chat window. Things are going crazy over here. All right. Paste. Boom. There you go. So I use that. Oh, that's aragonite sand. Well, don't use the sand. That would be weird. Where did it go? Oh, lordy, lordy. This is what happens when I don't get my links together before the show. It just like goes off the rails. Oh my God. Oh, here it is. I clicked on the wrong one. Here's the one you want. You want this coarse. You want the coarse version. Here you go. This is the coarse jammer paste. Boom. And then you're going to have to get these little net bags. Let me see if I can find a net bag in my, what are these things called? Net bag. I don't know. Is that what they're called? Hold on. Oh, I ordered a tool bag a while ago. Oh, here they are. Filter bags mesh. This is the longest, stupidest name. Aquarium filter bags, media mesh filter bags with zipper for charcoal, pelletized, remove white and black. These are the media bags that I use right here. Very simple. It's literally like a mesh bag with a zipper that is water safe. You get 20 of them, and they last a really, really long time. So you probably will never have to buy more of them ever again. And it's good that you get the white ones and the black ones, because then you can keep track of what it is that you what it is you were doing with them. Oh my God, guys, the show is gonna get sidebarred something hard here because we have a $5 super chat from It's Nature Man, and we gotta talk here for a second. It's Nature Man was influenced, okay? Positively influenced, I hope. I literally told you guys to be safer. I literally told you guys to keep fish. I literally told you guys to laugh at the term snatch block. So hopefully it was a positive influence. It made you super chat $5. So maybe that's good. Matthew Waybright just popping in to say what's up, and then he's leaving, I guess. He said, hopes I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well too. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. You guys are chatting like crazy. What's going on? Is a 30 liter enough for guppies? I gotta wonder how big is a 30 liter in gallons. 30 liter, 2 gallons. 8 gallon. I would say no. I think kind of my minimum for guppies to have like a positive experience. Well, I think the minimum, like the bare minimum is a 10 gallon. I would just get a 20 gallon because they cost like $8 more in the States. I don't know what country you're in. I don't know the pricing of things that you're going to buy and stuff like that, but a cheap 20 gallon aquarium, which would be, how many liters is that? 20 gallons to, what the? 2 liters. There it is. Okay, let's click on that. 75 liters, which is not a huge aquarium. You got to admit that's not that big. And I'm not just saying that because I have big aquariums. I'm saying I literally would like throw 20 gallons all around the room all the time. It's not that big of a deal. But I want to reiterate back to the guppy thing that I was talking about. I don't know what Vicky is doing back there. What are you doing? Oh, she's back there going wild behind the camera. Can't be trusted because she's wild. That's the rule. Can't be trusted because she's wild. But I have to say that, like, from the beginner, it is very easy to get guppies. Most people that keep guppies will sell them to you relatively cheap, if not free. Oftentimes, they'll just give them to you. The relative ease of use, and to say ease of use is like care is very simple. 503 was asking what are my water conditions. So I'll say this. I have no ammonia, no nitrite. I have nitrate for sure because I'm fertilizing for my plants. That's happening. And I have to buffer my water because if I don't buffer my water up at all and add some minerals to my tank, the guppies will just kind of waste away. They're not going to be getting all the nutrients that they need as far as the mineral supplements go for just the water column that they exist in. To do that, I add the aragonite, and I also generally add some driftwood and almond leaves into the sump. Even if it's not in the display, I'll just keep some of that in there into the sump so that it's kind of just breaking down and adding in. You could utilize peat instead. Peat just kind of helps out a little bit in very small amounts, though. You want to make sure that you keep that very small and add in the aragonite to buffer that water up. Now, feeding my guppies is the easiest thing in the world. I literally feed them ONIP tabs, some of the tiny extreme food, some Tropica fish flake, and the freeze-dried bloodworms. I don't even feed frozen bloodworms anymore. Those freeze-dried bloodworms seem to do just as well for my guppies because they are pretty prolific feeders. Whenever you add food into the tank, they are going to feed pretty rapidly and aggressively. And like little puppies, they come up like you're going to give them a treat. And with all those characteristics of just being so easy to take care of, like I don't need any live food, I don't need snails or shrimp or clams or any of this crazy stuff that you have to feed a lot of fish for live food. I've always kept dry food for my guppies, and they've done fantastically well. They're always breeding. I'm always getting more and more of them. And on top of the fact, I know that there's a lot of people out there that would think, wow, guppies are so boring. Guppies are so boring for somebody that's an advanced fish keeper. And I will tell you this. When I happened to be in Austria for the Live Bearer World Championships? I think that's what it was called. But it was mostly guppies. There was just guppies for days, man. And I will tell you, the selective breeding and everything that was going on there really highlighted how far you could go with guppies if it was something that you wanted to keep with selective breeding, specific colorization, different fin shape, different body size, all of these things coming into play to really make your own unique fish. And because they breed so rapidly, you are able to move from this genetic variant to this genetic variant to this genetic variant fairly rapidly. And obviously some people have been breeding their specific lines for 20, 30 years and stuff like that. But as an experienced fish keeper, fish breeder, you would expect to see something very positive out of your fish within what I would consider to be a pretty short period of time, like 2.5, 3 years. You would start to see really, you could really breed those fish to a point where you're like, oh, these are distinctly from my tanks. There isn't really that many other things out there as far as breeding projects go that I have seen that you could really do that with. You could potentially do that with shrimp, possibly within that time frame, but you're going to deal with so many water quality issues, different types of feeding, so much selective culling that is, to be honest with you, extremely difficult when you're talking about tiny baby shrimp and growing them up to a certain point where you can actually identify what it is that you're looking for or what you're not looking for, and just how many tanks you're going to need in order to do that. Shrimp is going to require a lot of tanks. Guppies, not so much, because more often than not, somebody will buy or take your cull guppies from you. So basically all you need is a couple of buckets and your tank. So you could literally pick which guppy you want, which guppy you don't want, bucket and bucket, right? Like let's say that the keeper bucket's white and the cull bucket is orange or something. I don't know. If you had a color code, you could literally just go keeper into this one, not keeper into that one, and be able to move through and just kind of figure out like what fish do I want out, which fish do I want in, and then allow them to keep going through those generational breeding process. And you can actually, in my experience, detect with the guppy if it has the characteristics that you want for the next generation much earlier than you can with shrimp. One of the big reasons for that is that shrimp are freaking tiny when they are born, dude. I am telling you, like, let's say the crystal shrimp, they are so freaking small that it is virtually impossible to, like, get them out of the tank to find out what the heck is going on, or even really get a look at them to see what is happening, because you're going to have to get them to a point where they're grown up so much that they may or may not have bred with some other shrimp in the meantime, you know? And so if you're talking about taking a male and a female and putting them into a tank to hopefully get them to selectively breed, or say, 3 males and 10 females or something like that, it's going to be much more difficult for you as the average, aquarium enthusiast, whatever, somebody who just likes the hobby, to be able to encapsulate enough time and enough financial ability and all of that stuff to be able to pull it off, that you will really, I think, run into too many problems that the average person just doesn't have the time to dedicate to dealing with a project like shrimp. But as I mentioned, guppies, in my opinion, are the perfect candidate for these types of projects, for long-term keeping. And one of the big reasons for the long-term keeping thing is, as I mentioned, how easy it is to get them to breed. You could probably start out with 10 guppies and keep them forever. As long as you keep the tank good enough for them to be breeding, potentially, you could go, I don't know how many years without having to introduce anything else to the tank. But I'm sure it would be a significant number where you'd be like, well, it's only 43 years or something goofy like that. But within that time period, you probably could get 5 different guppies to add into your tank and just make sure that there's enough genetic variance so that they don't start getting all weird, which leads me to my other point, that the selective breeding, one of the big reasons why that's important is that you're looking for characteristics that you want to continue on down the line. Now, if you have fish that have a crazy humpback, maybe they can't swim right, maybe their fins are weird because, whoever bred with whoever created a fish that doesn't necessarily have these solid, ability to swim correctly because their body may or may not have malformed. I'm not a geneticist, so I'm not going to sit here and try to break it down for you as to why that's happening. I'm literally an experienced guy where I just go, all right, it's unfortunate that these fish need to be culled out, but I'm going to move these to another tank that, maybe they'll end up becoming live food for something. Maybe they'll end up just kind of being in a pond or something like that. I'll be able to move them somewhere where we're not relying on them to continue breeding and kind of pass them along to what would generally happen to them in the wild, which is they'll probably be, predated upon. More often than not, those fish with like the crazy bent spine and the inability to swim, they normally just get eaten by something, whether it be a bird or another fish or whatever. They normally end up becoming food for nature, which, as you guys know, I'm a big fan that if I'm going to cull something or something like that, I'm going to make sure that it's going to go back towards the earth. I'm going to try to move things back towards where they need to go. Like, I could feed them to my chickens. I could sometimes compost, which is just kind of an awful thing to do from the standpoint of just like throwing fish into the compost, but it literally is one of those things that I wholeheartedly believe in, that you would want to do that. Now, I think we hit the water quality. One of the things I wanted to talk about with my water quality myself is temperature. A lot of people out there, and I pretty much agree with a lot of the proponents of keeping the temperature up. And most people say they want to keep that temperature up around 80, 82 degrees. I keep mine a little bit cooler, mainly because I don't want the metabolism of my fish to get out of hand with that increased temperature. So I do keep my temperature about 76 to 74, so it's a little more chill in the tank, and they aren't necessarily eating and pooping so rapidly that I do get to the point where I may or may not have fed them within a timeline that they needed. As you guys know, I generally, at the very least, skip a day between feedings because I want to maintain my ecosystem to a point where I'm not just constantly adding food into the system and hoping to recoup, and hoping that like my plants and my filtration can completely keep up with all of that stuff. So I do try to keep things on the a little bit cooler, a little bit less frequent feeding. It does kind of slow down the breeding a little bit too also, because I don't want my breeding to get completely out of hand, because as I was talking about before, I don't want to go through that whole depressing situation of having to pull out 40 fish out of my tank and then be like, all right, who's going to eat them? I don't find joy in doing that stuff. I just feel like it's a necessary part of the process to get things moving along that would normally happen in nature. Now, what are some of the other things I wanted to talk about? Because I got the buffered water, the feeding is pretty simple. Water conditions. Oh, planted aquarium. I did notice that Aquarium Co-op put out a pretty good. I watched the beginning of the video, so I don't know if it got good or better or worse or anything like that. I watched about the first minute of the video where Corey was talking about seasoning the aquariums, which he and I have discussed that about a million times, so it does make sense to me. But that's generally the process that I go through also, which is I generally utilize plants in my aquariums. I get them set up. I use a ton of plants and stuff like that to get the plants growing. I'm adding fertilizer. Sometimes I do add artificial things like ammonia and that kind of stuff to help get the bacteria growing in there pretty well. But I mainly focus on just growing plants in the aquarium. I am more than 100% confident that if I set up an aquarium, get the plants completely growing in there, and get all that established, that is going to be a healthy environment for whatever fish that I decide to put in there, whether it be shrimp or fish or snails or whatever the heck I'm going to put in there. It's literally going to be ready to go. That's one of the reasons that I still to this day continually grow plants, other than the utter fixation that I have with growing plants. Like I could stare at the plants all day with nothing really else going on. If we go back to the hypothetical that I was talking about earlier with the, like, you could only keep one tank, and let's add another crazy component to it where they were like, you can't keep any fish in it or shrimps or anything like that. You could just have water and plants. Would I be all right with that? I would figure it out. I would figure out how to be okay with that. But the reality is that's going to be one of the big avenues that you are able to keep a healthy environment for your guppies 100%, is that if you have plant growth going fairly well, okay, I'm not saying it's got to be 100% algae-free, immaculately trimmed, beautiful aquascape, all that kind of stuff. I'm just talking about some plants growing in there, whether it be some Java moss, Java fern, simple stuff like that. Maybe just some sword plants, just some easy things that are relatively simple to get into a tank, get them established. That is going to be a much more healthy environment for the guppies themselves. And one of the great things about little guppies, baby guppies are generally going to be eaten infusoria, whatever leftover fish that the bigger or leftover food that the bigger fish aren't eating, and all those little bacteriums and things like that will exist within a planted aquarium just naturally. If you generally have a planted aquarium, most of that stuff is going to exist in there to some degree. And they'll be able to feed off most of that stuff. So as far as the babies go, all I do is just grind up some of the fish food that I'm already feeding the tank into a kind of a fine powder and then add that in and make sure that it sinks. So that's really the only thing. I basically just have like this little, I think it's just like a fertilizer shot glass. I'll grind up some of the food, add it in there, mix it around with some tank water, dump it in, and when you dump it in, it'll actually just kind of cloud out in the tank, and all those little bits of food will get around to all the baby fish eventually. I'm not super stressed out about it, as I got a fairly good amount of water that's circulating through the aquarium itself. So if I do grind up that food, it's generally going to land somewhere that needs to be, or it's generally going to land somewhere that's going to be available to those little tiny fish. So I don't stress about it, and it's very important for me to have non-stressors within every hobby that I do, because they have a tendency to snowball into this wildly elaborate projects and stuff like that. And if I'm doing something like that that is supposed to have that hobby element to it, that yes, I do make a lot of YouTube videos, I make a lot of content, yes, it is part of my job. This is part of how I make my income, is being able to do live streams and stuff like that for you guys. Yes, true, but I also don't want it to be this giant stressful issue thing that I have to deal with on a regular basis. And I also don't want to put my fish, my shrimp, all that stuff into a situation where it's being so stressful that I accidentally neglect things, because you're just like, I don't even want to deal with that right now. Which is one of the reasons I don't keep giant fish. I don't keep arowana or arapaima or alligator gars or whatever. I don't keep any of the giant predatory fish, because it's a huge stressor to me to constantly be feeding crazy expensive food, constant care, weights on the lids. I mean, you got to do a workout routine to get a lid off of an arowanas tank. You know what I'm saying? You got to pull off all those 50-pound plates off of there and, whatnot. It's Nature Man is wondering if I'm caring for a bonsai. Okay, so that's kind of my little guppy spiel for today. Like I said, I didn't do any outline. I just kind of wanted to talk about guppies a little bit and see what you guys thought. And clearly, it has been mentioned in the chat that everybody's apparently just listening to me talking about guppies. But hopefully, you guys have some questions, and then we'll jump into that. But it's Nature Man is wondering, are you caring for bonsai this year? Actually, I don't have any bonsai. I was going to get some, and then I realized that it does snow and things like that where I live. So I am going to encounter those parts of the year that are really going to put bonsai in danger. So I wanted to get the greenhouse done before I really messed with any of that. So before I messed with any of that, and to get ahead of it, I was like, I'm gonna make sure that the greenhouse is ready before I start doing some bonsai. I had some little trees that I was like crazy pruning and doing all that stuff. But luckily those were species that could be outside, and we just stuck them in the ground a while ago. So I haven't really been too crazy into it. Tom does such a great job with those bonsai that I literally am sort of just waiting until I can get a couple from Tom, I think, before I start going too crazy with it. But I want to get the greenhouse done And you guys know, like, the remodel on the kitchen and all this other stuff definitely has precedence over that right now. And I was going to buy the lumber. I have all the drawings done and where I'm going to put everything. I was going to buy the lumber, and then lumber went insano, Captain Insano price, to the point where, like, you know, each of the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I think 12 beams that I need to buy for it was going to be something like, I don't know, like, what was it, like $2,200 or something crazy like that? I was just like, oh, no, I can't do that. I was expecting lumber to be about $600 with the design I had, and it just went super crazy price, and I'm like, I cannot spend over $2,000 on just the wood. Like, I would have expected to spend $2,000 or $3,000 to just get a prefabricated one, and it was assembled already too, you know? Need a little drink of water. My throat's all weird today. I don't know. I'm a little dried out over here, a little hoarse. The Beaver says, just got in not too long ago. Heard you mention buffered water. Experience using crushed coral. Mentioned that earlier. Put the links in the chat. I'll put the links back in the chat. That's the bag I use for the crushed coral. And then here's one of them. Here's a link to crushed coral. This is literally the advice I gave earlier. But here's the links in case you're struggling to find them, like on Amazon. I am an Amazon affiliate, so you know that get a commission. Yeah. Bear. Daniel Velez, what's up, my guy? Oh, he changed his avatar. I like it. Hope all are well, safe, and healthy. That's right, dude. Are the Endler/guppies you have producing non-tiger Endlers? And if so, are you removing the ones that are off-color? The off-color ones are going into my 240-gallon aquarium. And are they producing non-tiger Endlers? Yes. There. If you guys don't know, I got some guppies a while ago from Alyssa, and I've just been letting them breed and do their thing. And yes, some red ones have been showing up. I think a couple of, like, just straight Endlers showed up. Yeah, there's been a bunch of weird little variants. I just been scooping them out and put them in my different aquarium. That's it. Nothing too crazy. Haven't been doing anything all crazy, nothing like that. Just letting them breed and having a good time, man. I love guppies, I got to tell you. Always an exciting little tank to look at. And there's always so much character and things happening in there that I definitely enjoy it. Where we go? Somebody had posted something in the chat. I saw snatch blocks happen all the time when I worked at a nightclub. 503 says I use an equilibrium and alkalinity buffer by Seachem and a little bit of reef salt. There you go. Work fine. That'll do great, actually. That's a whole lot of things to buy for me, though. I'm not into it personally, but that will work. That's way more effort than I do, though. Shelby Ray Lane is driving home and lurking and listening. Like it. Oh, man, who doesn't know about the two Utes? Youths, sir. Youths. Let's see. I have downsized to a 55-gallon and a 20-long guppies for days. I have a nice new 29-gallon setup. I'm looking for ideas. It's nature, man. If I was in that situation, I would turn the 29 long, and that would be my shrimp tank. I would do a distinct aquascape and do shrimp in it. That's what I would do. What should you do? I have no idea. Paradise fish, maybe? Flagfish? I'd do a flagfish if I was you. Night Flight is wondering, how was my day? My day was fine. Was fine. Links for kits for testing NPKs. NPKs? Test kit? Oh, oh my God. Oops, I gotta push this button. Copy. What's going on over here? Who turned the sound on this computer? This other computer has the sound turned on. I think I was listening to rock music. You know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean when I say rock music? That's not how that song goes, but you know what I mean. Alerts are playing off the other computer, and that's not good. We don't want that. Water test kits. API does a bunch of different test kits, but Salifert, which I believe was the old Red Sea. Is that right? I don't know. I might be wrong. But Salifert has water test kits for pretty much anything. So if you go to this company, they have test kits for like every crazy thing you could think of. So if there's any specific stuff that you are looking for, BCFR is wondering if there's any specific test kits you're looking for. Go wild with Salifert. They have every crazy test kit you can think of. From they have cage tests, they have copper tests, they have nitrate, boron, oxygen, flatworm. I mean, I don't know. They have like so many crazy tests, and a lot of people have been using those dip strip tests. I don't use those. I haven't found them to be accurate, mainly because they just don't work well for me. But maybe they're working well for you. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old and I like to drip eyedroppers into little beakers. Maybe that's my problem. Aqua Blue Bear is wondering, acrylic or glass for what? Like aquariums? Like, do I want acrylic or glass? I mean, I generally get most of my tanks made out of acrylic. Lasts forever. It's lightweight. It's more durable. It's clearer. So, you know, I don't know. Glass has the advantage of being cheap. That's pretty much it. It's pretty much the only thing that glass has going for it, is that it's cheaper and mass-produced by, you know, factories or whatever. Literally got off the phone yesterday with the Kookaloo guys I ordered a tank from to get made. And they were like, oh, my God, there's just so many delays, you know, that you know, we're gonna get it out to you. It's gonna ship tomorrow, which I thought was weird. That it was gonna ship out tomorrow, because I literally reached out to him to just be like, hey, how is progress? Is it good? And the guy freaked out and started telling me about how the government was paying people to not work and all this stuff. And I thought it was really odd. I thought it was really weird, because he was telling me that they were 8 weeks out. I ordered it 5 weeks ago. He was telling me that they were 8 weeks out, but he also was telling me that it was going to ship today. And that they were having problems. They're working 4 times harder than they ever have worked before, but they're having problems because the government's paying people to not work. Which is odd, because the likelihood that they're just paying people like $9 an hour to work in like kind of a sweatshop factory setting, building aquariums, is probably pretty high. And I don't know that the government paying unemployment benefits has anything to do with them not being able to find somebody to work. But hey, you know, what do I know? I'm just some guy. But, you know, if you could scapegoat the government, it's always just such a great argument, right? Mr. Rockefeller and his acrylic over here and his fancy kitchen hardware. The kitchen hardware that we got was actually glass, which was super funny because one of the guys we had helping out was like, we always take all the glass knobs out. People get rid of glass knobs. You guys are putting glass knobs in? And like, yeah, old school. And I think they look dope. So we put glass ones in there. And the acrylic tanks, like the 240 I bought used, super used, and I traded some other stuff for it. The 150 I bought used from a guy that was just getting rid of it. Like he was just kind of done with the hobby and was selling it for $400. And I drove over there probably 20 minutes after he posted the ad and just gave him cash and took it and then kind of cleaned it up. The two 120s we had made, and it was pretty expensive to get those made, but it was about $1,000 a tank. But they're going to last like I said, they're going to last like forever, and there's no way I'm going to stop liking the 120 gallon aquarium, size, that footprint of 48 by 24 by 24. I'm never going to stop liking that. Whereas the 240, there is a solid chance that I'd be like, I don't want to deal with an 8-foot aquarium anymore. And I might just sell that, or put it in storage somewhere because I know how expensive it might be to buy a new one. The 150 I'd probably put right in there with the 120, is that I'll probably never get tired of that shape. But like the 60-gallon cube, I'm already tired of that shape, so I'm probably going to break it down and move it somewhere. And I say that because that is what's actually happening, but I had a 125-gallon bust when I was standing next to it. When I get a large tank again, I will not go with glass. Yeah, it's a good point from the Beaver. Do you ever had a glass tank blow out? Like, it's just legit traumatizing. It's just purely a traumatizing situation of like, huh? Oh, my God. Run around, clean it up, do all that stuff. Like, it's just about as traumatic as it could be, I think, realistically. Glass doesn't scratch as easily. It's true, but buffing out glass is incredibly difficult. So when you do scratch it, it's kind of garbage. Typically, you'll spend more money buffing out a glass tank than it costs. Whereas buffing out an acrylic tank, it's kind of just like a weekend project, some rubbing compound, a couple discs for your orbital DA and stuff like that, and you could figure it out. Any idiot could figure out how to buff acrylic with just a little bit of practice and a couple of pointers on what to use. Basically, that's it. If your employees make more on unemployment than they do working for you, then you are the problem. Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeah, I was interested in wondering what the unemployment benefit was in the state that he was calling me from, and it's $300 a week. So I think you guys could handle the math in your head around there. That like, if I was only making $300 a week and somebody offered me to go back to work full time, I would straight up have just been like, let's go. It wouldn't have been a question because I don't get paid $7 an hour or whatever the hell that is. What is it? Hold on, let's do this. 300 divided by 40. 7.5. Man, I should have known that. I'm ashamed of myself. I thought it was 7.4, like some kind of idiot. That's 7.5. Yeah, because 280 and then 20. Oh, God. I'm dumb. Sorry, guys. Maybe I deserve to make $7.50 an hour. I don't know. I can't even do the math whilst live streaming. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like, if people don't want to come back to work because they're getting a $300 unemployment check, it's like, Huh? Because I legit would be like, oh, dude, I gots to get back to work. I need to make more money. Glass ain't too bad to polish unless it's toughened. Well, I mean, it's not too bad to polish, but it's chemically dangerous. It's dangerous to people that don't do it very often. You're going to have to wear a respirator. There's a lot of weird chemicals involved, but, polishing glass as opposed to polishing acrylic, that's the basis of what you need to figure out. And then if you have somebody polish the glass for you, how much is that going to cost? Because the last time I didn't want to drill holes in somebody's glass tank, mainly because I didn't have time to drive all the way over there, set up, do it, drive all the way back. The glass guys were charging $35 a hole. They wouldn't pick it up, so you would have still had to drive over there, drop it off, then drive back when it was done. $35 a hole, and no guarantee that they wouldn't break it. No guarantee that they wouldn't break your aquarium by drilling the holes. So, if you're drilling 4 holes into a tank, you're talking about $140, probably at least 5 hours of time to drive over there, drop it off, get it, mark everything off where you want it, make sure they know where the holes need to go, leave it there for however long, however many 2 hours to go over there and get it again, bring it back home, set it all back up, and it might actually just get broken, and you'd still have to give them $140, I think, or something. I'm not 100% sure how that works. Like, do they just oh, we broke your tank, so we're not charging you for drilling the holes, right? I don't know. Oh, look at this Big D Smoke out here just flexing on chat. Big D out here just flexing on chat. Says he first started working as a 60% apprentice in the laborers union in 95, was making $14.42 an hour. I will tell you this much. In 1995, when I was working, I was not making $14.42 an hour. I think I was making $3.15 an hour back then, in 95. But I was just doing restaurant work where everyone's a slave. Michigan, $332 a week, then $300 COVID relief money a week. So I guess that'd be the equivalent of like $15 an hour. Yeah. Which I still would want to go back to work. But I could see how somebody in Michigan making $600 a week is probably doing okay, I guess. Right? Everywhere I looked in Michigan to move there was like pennies on the dollar, buddy. Property is so cheap in Michigan. You guys don't even know. Houses there are like free, dude. Houses are like free in Michigan. You guys might as well just be like handing them out in a box of Cracker Jack. You know what I'm saying? But, Oh, we had a bunch of viewers show up and then they all left. Probably because I wasn't talking about guppies anymore. You had a big viewership spike there and then they all left. They all bailed out on us. Sorry, guys. It's probably because you didn't hit the like button 100 times and the subscribe button and super chat $1 billion. $1 billion. YouTube won't let you do that, but it would be hilarious. Reminds me, I got to buy a lottery ticket for tomorrow because I hope to win the lottery because I want to build a giant aquarium system and I don't have the money to do it. It would be nice. That's the only reason I play the lottery is so that I could just fund all these crazy projects. It's 100%. It's 100% the only reason I ever play the lottery. I play it once a week. And it's just if I'd be able to fund all these crazy projects. It'd just be filming stuff and building things all the time. I would hire an editor, though. I will tell you that. I would buy I would hire a cameraman and I would hire an editor. I would, 100%. And we would hang out all the time and edit and make videos and lose our minds, probably. I don't know if we'd hang out all the time, but we'd have a regular work schedule. So it would just be like a regular job if that was the case. We'd just be like doing that 40 hours a week. And, yeah. Let's see. I would have made more on unemployment, but I'm still getting paid because I didn't stop working. Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Well, the only true currency is time, so if you think of it that way, you can't really put a price on it unless you need to eat, I guess. I appreciate when people say the only currency is time, and I agree that once you get to a financially stable position, when you get positioned to a point where you are so financially stable that you're not worried about eating and you're not worried about going to the doctor and you're not worried about the transmission breaking in your car and that kind of stuff, yes, time becomes the biggest issue that you have to worry about. And, that's the biggest thing. That will become the biggest thing. We can't get people to come to work shooting screws on a production line for HVACs. For F-150? Is that the Ford? Is that the Ford Lightning or whatever? What is that? F-150 HVACs. I don't know. I'm going to look it up. I don't know. I'm thinking that's the, I don't know. Is that the F-150 assembly line? Maybe. We'll find out. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a problem trying to get people to come to work, That's always been a problem. But I mean, if you have a good job and you offer a good job, people should come work there, And, yeah, like $14 an hour. I don't know if there's a lot of people that are enthusiastic about working for $14 an hour, doing something like hyper repetitive. It's hard to say that like people should be excited for that work, And I know that there's a lot of people that enjoy that work. But there's also a lot of people that want to try to do something else with their life. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to empathize, or I'm trying to be empathetic. I'm trying to have empathy for not only the workers that are doing those difficult, repetitive jobs that also are going to be automated soon. So I recently was having a conversation with somebody that was like, if we raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, they'll automate all the jobs. And some of the examples that they used were just look at McDonald's. Like, they're automating all the jobs at McDonald's. And it's like, guess what? They automated all of those jobs when minimum wage is only like, what, $7 an hour? So, like, they were doing it anyhow, regardless of if you moved the wage up or down or not. Current federal minimum wage. I forget what it is. It's like, was it 7 something? 725. Yeah. So, like, they were automating those jobs while minimum wage is 725, and it's one of those things that, like, if let's see, who has the highest minimum wage? I'm going to look at this list here. Washington State, where I live, looks to be. Yep. So Washington State, where I live, has the highest minimum wage. It looks like it. Yeah, I think it is. At $13.69 an hour. Nope. District of Columbia is 15. Okay, so but DC's not a state, right? So they don't even get to be a state, but they have $15 an hour minimum wage. $14 in California. So Washington is number 3. This list is not in order of high to low. Massachusetts is right behind Washington at 1350. Yeah, so I mean, and the thing is that like those companies aren't going to develop the automation in relation to the minimum wage. The minimum wage that they want is $0 an hour. You know what I mean? Like they want 0 is what their goal is. And it's not very difficult to understand that like if you owned a company and you're paying somebody to do something, right? Your goal would be to pay them 0. So your labor cost would be 0. Like that's the goal. Let's see here. Aquarium Co-op says, from what I understand, in some states like Washington State, you'll get a portion of the wage you used to make plus the $600, and I believe the $300 from the state. The break even is $62.5 thousand. At one point during COVID, not sure if it's still in effect. If you made less than $62.5, it was better to be on unemployment minus other benefits like healthcare, retirement, etc. That's the thing. I don't know. I would have to look into that. I know that was happening like at one point in time, right when the pandemic kicked, and then that $600 bonus like went away quite a long time ago. When did that $600 get phased out? When did $600 unemployment end? There we go. Because that started last year. The CARES Act. Yeah, the extra $600 unemployment benefit ends. Good Lord, I have to become a member. No, I will not. I will not join your consortium of the email pool. You will not email me. No, I will not do it. Okay. When does I have to research? Because I believe it was last year. Yeah, the CARES Act set to July 31st. However, all states will stop paying after July 25th or 26th due to administrative procedure unless Congress passes legislation by the extended aid. Yeah, that was last year, July 31st of last year, so in 2020. So I don't know. I would have to look it up, but I'm just really not sure that any... What's the current... Hold on. What's the current COVID stimulus unemployment? What's the current COVID stimulus unemployment? Let's see. Let's take a look. Who qualifies for another check? So people got the $1,400 check if you were under $75,000 a year. Yeah, if you made over $80,000, you didn't get that benefit. Where's that $300 unemployment benefit up to date? Oh, here it is. The rescue plan provides a $300 weekly boost, extends pandemic aid until September 6th, and offers a new tax waiver on the first $10,200 of unemployment benefits for many Americans. The stimulus bill passed through Congress Wednesday, was signed into law by Joe Biden on Thursday. The package will keep the current weekly enhancement on Jobless Aid Act at $300 until Labor Day. It also extends the CARE Act program's pandemic unemployment assistance for gig workers and those not traditionally eligible for aid. The maximum duration of PUA benefits increases up to 79 weeks, which gives some workers both a W-2 and 1099, extra $100 a week per aid up until September 6th. So, trade-offs, $300 per week boost and Yeah, I don't know. I'm just here literally like live streaming while I read articles about stuff. Yeah, so here we go. At face value, $300 instead of $400 is worse. A $300 weekly boost on top of state unemployment insurance replaces 74% of the average worker's lost income, while a $400 weekly supplement bumps it up to 85% wage recovery. The CARES Act $600 weekly enhancement aimed to provide 100% wage replacement for the average worker. So what they're aiming for there is actually just a replacement of 85% of a wage recovery, right? So what we'd have to do is the quick math there of if your aim is to hit 85% instead of 74% of the average worker's lost income, that you're basically trying to get people to $15 an hour. Because if you're basically giving $300 a week, that's you make $750 an hour, right? So then if you're trying to put that on top of the unemployment to get to 74%, or sorry, to get to 85% from 74%, you're talking about people that are making like $13 an hour or something like that. And I will tell you from like personal experience, I can tell you it is extremely difficult to get people to come work in a super hot kitchen with a crazy work environment that is absolutely grueling and insane and be like, hey, I'm going to pay you $13 an hour. Like, it's difficult to get people to show up for that at all, like ever. That's a reality, you know? And that's just a reality of the United States, like the way that the United States is. Now, I can say that I have not been running staff since, since the current minimum wage in Washington is now at $13.69. So let's see. If we had an equivalent here, I think the last time I had a significant staff was 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 years ago. So let's go look at what our minimum wage was 5 years ago. Here's the Washington one. $9.47. I think that's right, because I remember it going up to 11. So when it went up to 11, it was incredibly. So minimum wage was $9.47 in Washington State, and it was super hard to get people to show up for like $13 or $14 an hour. Mainly because like you can't work in a city and live in a city and make like that kind of money. Like it's just ridiculously difficult to do. You have to live in a house you have to live in like an apartment with roommates and that kind of stuff. And I don't know. It's just a weird situation. So most of those people, it's very difficult to get them to show up. So if we were talking about the differential that I was trying to pay back then when it was like $9 an hour, or let's say it was $9.50 and I was trying to pay $13.50. Let's say it was $4 more than that. Let's say it's $4 more than the current. That'd be like trying to get people to show up for like $17.69 or like $18 an hour. It's probably pretty difficult to get people to show up for $18 an hour, let alone if you're paying $7.25 an hour, like in South Carolina, or $8.80 an hour, like Ohio. North Dakota is $7.25, North Carolina is $7.25, New Hampshire, all that kind of stuff. So I would imagine it's probably pretty difficult to get people to show up for $8, $9, $10, $12 an hour to do extremely grueling hard work, like riveting a fender onto a truck over and over and over again, like 100 times a day under a lot of stress and temperature and human environment and all that kind of stuff would be probably pretty stressful. What is Vicky doing?
Sitting down in your dusty guest chair.
Can she be trusted? She's sitting down in my guest chair. What's going on there? Although, I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off base. And people should be paid $1 an hour. Right? What do you think, babe?
I think people need to be
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Weird.
I think people should be paid enough to live on.
Should I? Do you need a microphone? You have one right there. I have to turn it on though. I'm not gonna film you with the camera because it's like pointing at the sky.
Yeah, no, don't put me on camera. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Pretty sure nobody wants to see me.
Welcome to the show, the voice of reason from space. Let me get a voice check from you.
Check, 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 mic.
I don't know. It looks like you're loud enough.
Do I need to?
Oh, don't bash the mic. Stop dusting the mic.
But it's so dusty over here.
Okay, well. You're supposed to dust the mic either, like, not live. You know. Who knows? What's going on, babe? You're sitting down here? Coming down for the show?
Came down to sit down. Been dealing with straight shenanigans at work
Mm-hmm.
today. People have a hard time in this virtual world that we live in now.
People having a hard time in the virtual world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resistant to virtual and now afraid to go back to in-person. Or maybe a mishmash of both.
I don't know. I'm fully vaxxed, dude. I'm just licking doorknobs and getting weird out there, bro. I still wear my mask and stuff, though, because that's just... I think that at this point in time, that's just polite.
I think we should still be wearing our masks.
We should, because I don't want people's flu.
Yeah, I mean, there's this weird, like, gray area of, like, I mean, we have a toddler, and we want our toddler's immune system to be good, but we also don't want her to catch COVID-19, so there's that whole thing that, like...
Right. There's,
exposure, but...
Oh,
Oh, since my mic is not on.
since your mic's not on. Hold on. Hold on. What's going on with your mic? I got to get my voice levels here.
Check.
Oh yeah. There's like a button I got to do, but I can't remember what the button is. Is it this one? Oh, no, it's this one over here. I have to go into... This will take a second.
Star-Lord and Gamora.
Hmm?
Somebody called us Star-Lord and Gamora.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I'll find her mic. God, what do I do? It's been so long since I've had somebody on here. I don't remember what it is. There is... Is it playout? No. Extensions? Audio mixer. No, that's not the right one. I want file. I don't know how to get people to come on the show anymore now. Who knows? Playout, extensions, tools.
I mean, I can actually dust the mic.
Yeah, I guess you could dust the mic. What is it? I think it's this button. No.
I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine.
Oh, that's what I got to do. I think it's this.
Little mic of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let
Do,
it
do,
shine.
do,
Let
do,
it shine.
do. Like I literally turned your mic up. It's some like weird setting. Is it in here?
Boop, 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 boop.
Video output, force deinterlace, color layer outfit effects. I don't know. It has something to I remember like vaguely in my mind that it like has to do with the mixing the left and the right, but I can't remember where that button is. New scene, load scene, save scene, duplicate, broadcast, record, play out, extensions, tools. I can't remember where it is. It's like somewhere. Has to do with like balancing me to the left and you to the right. And I can't. Is it this? Let me.
Well,
Configure.
that's okay.
I don't know, dude. I'm gonna end the show.
Get out of here. I can just go back upstairs.
No. 'Tis the end of the
it, body, body, move it, baby. Move it, body. Move it, baby. Move it, body.
Raise a glass, you've made it another year. Happy birthday, have a laugh, crack a smile, even shed a tear. Because it's your birthday. Pop the cork, pour the flute, make a wish, and don't forget to count the candles. Now we celebrate with cheers. Raise your glass to another year. Raise your glass, it's time to have some fun. Happy birthday, yellow cake for another trip around the sun. Because it's your birthday. Coffee or tea, cream and sugar. Is it time to open presents? Friends and loved ones